a few different things. And we've got to get clear on what the threshold is. And we've got to get clear on what is the leveraged business balance. Do you remember me talking about that a week or two ago? So what it means is that there's going to be one or two of these 9 business balances that, well, they create leverage and they create a knock-on effect.
Welcome to the Mindset by Design podcast with your host and NLP expert, Andy Murphy, where you will learn the tips, tricks, and strategies he teaches his world-class clients to give you the skills to dominate any business.
What's going on, Mindset by Design crew, and welcome to episode 421. Hope you're amazing as always and life is treating you. Well, I hope it's treating you pretty damn awesome. That's what I hope. Doesn't matter where you are in the world. Do you know, I have people, I think it's like 100 countries or something like that listen to this podcast, which is really, really cool. So no matter where you are in the world, I really hope that you are kicking ass, doing well, and everything's going smooth. Do you know what I mean? And what's interesting, I'm about to travel again. Yes, I've been doing a lot of traveling. I think I've been in like 5 different countries in the past couple of months. And the next couple are going to be very interesting. I'm heading over to South America or Latin America, I should say. It's actually Central America. And then I'm going to be heading to... where? Well, New York, then I'm going to be heading to Florida, then I'm going to be heading to the Cayman Islands. Cayman Islands is really exciting. I'm really pumped about that. I'm going to be on stage talking to, venture capitalists and, going to be on stage with a couple of, 3 different billionaires, which is pretty damn amazing to me. And I'm going to be able to network with all of these high-end people and learn so many things from them. And that's really exciting to me because I get to do what I do. I get to help people. And what I want you to realize, it doesn't really matter what level of the game. And we're talking about these billionaires, right? Somebody always needs someone else to talk to. We always need a third-party view or perspective on our own patterns, our own chaos behaviors, our own beliefs, our own ideas, to see if they really are congruent with where we want to build our business or life or what we want to do next. Because it's very easy. People say ideas are hard sometimes, man. I don't know about that. You give me any topic, I'll probably sit down for 20 minutes and give you 20 different ideas. Ideas are really damn easy. And you know what about ideas? They're exciting. They're really exciting, and they're exciting for a few different reasons. Definitely because of the chemicals that get produced in our brain through novelty. When something's new, it's very exciting, and that produces a lot of chemicals that feel good to us, right? Because they feel good, we think it's a good idea, or we think it's a good idea at that time. And what I want you to understand is not all ideas are awesome at the right time. It doesn't work like that, right? So if you are about to start the next stage of your business, or you've maybe got burnt out and you've dipped in that bubble's popped, that hyper performance bubble has popped when you've been kicking ass for so long and you just can't get back on board, right? Or maybe your business is about to step into a whole new area of growth, blue oceans, which is so exciting. Or maybe you've at the other stage of this, you're selling a company, or you've sold a company, or your role's changed inside the organization and you're wanting to transition into the next chapter of your life. What you got to understand about all of that? Well, it's all new, right? So you're going to come up with a lot of different ideas that might feel great at the time, but it doesn't mean they are in alignment or congruent or the right suggestions. So what this links to is today's episode, which you're going to love. I keep getting amazing feedback from these episodes I put out, it's basically clips from some of my training programs that I work with people on. And it's awesome. I don't know if I'll be doing a training program for a long time again, because I've really moved into working deeply with one-on-ones with people. Now, obviously, I've done this for a long, long time, 21 years now. But I've found that I really customize and I specialize in getting results for people. And although courses give great results, and they do, often we need that little bit of TLC. Do you know what I mean? We need that extra bit of level of interaction and support, and that accelerates the growth really, really dramatically. And that's what I lean into these days, whether it's 1 day, 2 days, whether it's working with me for 90 days or even 12 months. What we do in that time frame is I want to make sure that you get a massive explosion of expansion. Massive expansion in what you want to do, whether it's the clarity, whether it's, you get the idea, right? So if you're coming to any of those different areas that I spoke about, right, and you're on an online business, whether it's, I don't know, you could be doing Amazon, you could be doing Shopify, you could be doing a founder of a digital business, you could be doing being a trader or even a real estate agent, we all hit something called, what I call anyway, neurological boundaries or thresholds. And a threshold is something that happens in our brain when we keep repeating a pattern, right? It's like, look at it another way. When we are stuck in a house or a location for a long time, what does your brain automatically do? It finds comfort, it finds certainty. Now for me, it kind of freaks me out when I want to get out and run around, but let me explain it another way as well. So it's like when you go on holiday, vacation for you Americans, holiday for some of the others, right? But when you go on vacation, holiday, what tends to happen? What do you do in that local area? Yeah, everybody does it. We kind of find a little routine, right? We find the local shops that we like, the local bakeries that we like, the local restaurants that we like, and we start to form a boundary of what we decide is comfortable or certain, right? So that becomes our comfort zone, if you want to use those words. But it becomes a neurological boundary of safety. And so what happens, this happens in our life. This happens in business. This happens in so many different areas of growth, right? We get in these zones, and these zones become, they become normalized. And this could be a good zone, it could be a bad zone, it could be a boring zone that you want to get out of. But the truth is, if we are in a constant state of growth, which we should be, you shouldn't ever be in that comfort place. It shouldn't be. You should always be driving forwards. Doesn't mean we're not enjoying where we're going, enjoying the smells, the tastes, the sounds that are around us. Now, of course we are, man. But the truth behind it is that we should always be expanding, right? And that's what I do, reboot and expand neurologically or psychologically with my clients, right? So we get results really, really, really fast. Instead of allowing them taking 12 months, they can do them in 3 months. And this is where thresholds and boundary conditions come in. And I'm throwing all these different words at you. Just go with me. And I hope you understand what they really, really mean. So what I wanted to do in today's episode is take a real small section out of a bigger training. Obviously, it's a 12-week training, this specific one that I've been sharing a few little clips. And I think it's 2 hours this episode, not this episode. This episode's about 30 minutes, but it's about 2 hours is the actual that specific week's training in this program. And it's this little section is a system that I developed called 9 business balances, and it's connected to value elicitation, it's connected to state changing, sure. But I'm also going to share with you a concept that I created for entrepreneurs, and it's kind of a secret. And that's why the episode is Secret Thresholds, right? It's kind of a secret. And unless you've been through the 8-Figure Thinker University, or you've worked with me, or you've seen me on stage or being interviewed, you're not going to really understand this, right? But you're going to have been through this for sure, right? So I'm going to explain snapbacks, I'm going to explain thresholds, I'm going to explain the 9 business balances, I'm going to explain a few different concepts that I know will really help you. Should I be giving all this information away for free? Well, probably most people wouldn't, but I love you and I'm here to help you any which way I can, which means I help you, you then come and work with me somehow, some way, right? But remember, I'm all about creating fast results, and just because this becomes common knowledge doesn't mean it becomes common practice. And I want this to be so deeply installed in your unconscious mind that this becomes an automatic way of being. You start to recognize these patterns of behavior that are slowing you down. You start to recognize where you're sabotaging yourself, or you're starting to recognize how you were performing before, but you're not now. Or you start to recognize, shit, I'm a little scared inside, or I'm hesitating, or I'm not making rapid decisions as I'm moving this business forward. Or I'm not leading as I should, or I don't know what to do next. And this goes back to to Roman times, because what I am is a personal advisor and neuroplasticity coach to high net worth individuals, founders, and high performers across multiple different industries. That's what I do. So what I want to share with you through the podcast is giving you glimpses of all of these things so you can help yourself. And then at some point, when you really need the results, you come and see if you can work with me. Don't work with many people anymore, but I'd love to still help you. And hey, if there's enough people, I'm doing a little survey right now about whether I do create a mastermind, but we'll see. So that's what today's episode's about, right? We're going to go through thresholds, snapbacks, and we're going to go through the business balances. And the ultimate thing is for you to start recognizing these automatic behavioral patterns so you can what? Well, you can change them. Sure, change them into what? Rubbish ones? No, we can expand you into infinite possibilities. What I do is I make amazing people more amazing so they can get to the results even faster. Does that sound good? Sound interesting? Like this podcast already? Good. What else? Well, you know where to find me. Go to andymurphy.online. andymurphy.online. You can go to work with me and you can click and fill the application form in. And again, whether you're going to work with me for all of these different ways, I have programs running from a couple of thousand all the way up to whatever you want to pay, right? So I know there is a place for you to hang out, work with me, and get the insights that I don't release to many people. And I know, I promise you, guarantee you'll get faster results than you've ever thought were possible. Sound good? Beautiful. So head over andymurphy.online and click work with me, fill the application form in. Sound good? Beautiful. Speaking of sounding good, this episode's pretty epic. I know you'll enjoy it. Make sure that you're writing me a review. Make sure that you're sharing this with someone, and make sure that you're following up with me on social. Sound good? Of course it sounds good. Right, let's jump into today's episode, and I will see you at the end of the show. Have fun.
So, hello there. Here we are, week 8 of the Top 1% Performer. Hope you are rocking and rolling, loving everything. It's all clicking, coming together. And last week, I really hope that you made that decision to, well, what? Yeah, you got it. Move over that gap, right? The gap that holds every entrepreneur back, every business owner, and everyone hitting to that next level. Well, that's the beautiful thing. Last week was getting us ready to move over the gap, and we did just that. Today, we are doing something, well, we're going to do a lot of things today, but we're installing something called a new set point, a new you over the other side of the gaps, and then over the next few weeks, we're going to teach you about subliminal, how to communicate with body language, how to magnetize rooms, how to build rapport in seconds with anyone on the planet. All of this is coming, but first of all, we have to, make sure that if anything triggers you, we are over the other side of the gap, being strong, the 1%, and we're going to do that right now. So why don't we just jump into this today, everybody? So here we are, week eight, and thresholds, cash, and set points, okay? So that's what the topics are today, but let's jump into this. So module for week 8, we've got, obviously, we're going to do our reviews and metrics. Then we're going to stepping over the gap, and we're going to talk about those thresholds. And then we're going to teach you something what I call energy circles. Well, what these are is how to start distancing people and how to bring people in closer to you, so you always get an ROI on your energy. I'm going to teach you something cool, which is the cash system. It's a cash control system. It's not about money. It's about controlling your brain. And then we're going to teach you all about set points. So should we get on with this? Because you know what the next stage is. We're going to do a review. Let's jump in to today's. Because here we are about stepping over the gap, right? That's where we were last week. We were ready to step over that gap. Well, now what we want to look at is creating this set point 101, okay? So set point. So what the heck is a set point? Well, let's give you a little understanding of a set point. So the way I took this, there's many different ways we can grab the understanding of a set point, but I just wanted to give you a generic understanding of what a set point, and then how I implement this term into business and performance. So a set point, it is the weight range in which the body is programmed to function optimally. Okay, a set point theory holds that one's body will fight to maintain that weight range. When you go below the body's natural set point, both appetite and metabolism adjust to try to return to that set point. Okay, so what that means is we've got to create a new top 1% performance set point over the other side of the gap. Because what this is saying, if you suddenly go on this crash diet, right? So you're overweight for whatever reason, it's okay, no judgment. But then you go on a crash diet, what's going to happen is as soon as people start to eat again, their body's going to naturally want to snap back, recognizing the terminology now, snap back to the old default setting or the old set point, right? Well, your body is used to, right? Well, guess what? That's the same with our brain. It's the same with our performance. So what we're doing here is we're stretching this band, right? So instead of getting triggered and snapping back, what we're doing with our brain is we're stretching this boundary. So we let go of the old, and now we create a new set point. So that's where the set point terminology comes from. I love this concept, and that's why we could call it a tipping point, but it's a new set point, okay? So this is what it's really like. So if you've got the old you, the gap is in the middle, right? And the new set point, which is what we're going to develop. And when you get triggered, which direction are you going to snap it to, right? That's the whole thing behind this. And it is a conscious decision because, like we've discussed all these things, it's all layering together now. Who are you being? If we're being the consumer, what does it mean? Yes, it means we're going to get snapped back, right? If we're being the investor, what does it mean? Well, it means that we value what? Our time, effort, and energy, which is our currency. We have full self-value, which means what? You got it. It means that we're driven towards our goal. So when we continue to build that muscle towards where we're going, the old version of us creates atrophy and it starts to shrink and die. So this is very important today that we make this new set point, okay? So we all know about the snapback, right? We've all had that many, many times. So what this comes to is thresholds, okay? Because it gets to that point in life where we can be in the gap and we can be stuck there, right, for a long time. Or we could stretch and then we get triggered and we snap back into constantly inside this old box. Well, the challenge with that is it has to get to that point where enough is enough. We are done with that old version of us, okay? And when we get to that point, it becomes much easier to make a decision, right? To expand or retract. Remember, expansion, it always happens. We either resist it, old box, or we allow it. If we allowed it, then we step into a world of the unknown. Remember our values, 6 human needs, you got it, right? So know your threshold. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab a pen and paper in a minute to get them ready. If you need them, get them out, because there's a little bit of writing today. So know your threshold. When is enough enough? We all have a very unique set of values in our lives around every area of our life. And we've gone through our 9 business balances, right? So in each with a threshold that once broken across becomes very hard to come back from. A harsh example is in a relationship. Everyone has different boundaries around cheating, right? It can be a harsh reality, but it also works the other way. If we stretch so much into working with, knowing, hanging around with, learning, changing our brain into real high performance, again, we have crossed a threshold, which it becomes very hard to come back from. Right? But often a lot of people have, they don't have the experience or they don't have the ability to, yet have that resource state. They don't know what it feels like to win, okay? They don't know what that feels like. So that's a different threshold. So look at this for an extreme example, and we're going to let you into a little bit of Liverpool here. Boundaries around relationships, right? Different thresholds. So we've got the top left hand, an angry Liverpool girl, right? Now, I've seen some crazy things from angry Liverpool girls, and it's not somebody who is probably the opposite with a free-loving hippie, right? So understand, they are different boundaries or thresholds around a relationship. Well, we can have them around everything, and that's what we're going to get into in a second, because we've got to look at these. Look, we can use this as an example, the 9 business balances, right? So in each one of these areas, we have a different threshold of what's acceptable. We're going to go into it in a second, don't worry. What's acceptable and what's not acceptable, right? Or what I like to call it, what is a non-negotiable. Okay, and we're going to get to that in a moment. So I just want you to take a little look at these 9 business balances, because I'm going to ask you a few questions in a moment. And I just want you to really be open and honest, right? And we've gone through a whole exercise around the 9 business balances, so you're understanding them. But what we've got to do is we've got to get clear. We've got to get clear on a few different things. And we've got to get clear on what the threshold is. And we've got to get clear on what is the leveraged business balance. Do you remember me talking about that a week or 2 ago? So what it means is that there's going to be 1 or 2 of these 9 business balances that, they create leverage and they create a knock-on effect, okay? So quick example, right? So if you've not been focusing on your finances, you've been ignoring them, you've been not you've been hiding from bills and things like that, then guess what? That's a very small threshold, okay? Because how can you become a multimillionaire or massively successful if we can't then focus on money, right? And so what we're going to look at is like, for example, that if we focused on finances and global networks, just for example, those two things, finances and global networks, can open up so much. They can open up self-awareness, discovery. They can open up knowledge. That's a leverage point, okay? So what I want you to start looking at is your life, okay? And really start to focus on a one or two that you really worked on would create a leverage point to the rest. Making sense? Clear as mud? We'll get there. Because what I want you to do first of all is step one. Okay, just take your notepad and pen or hang out. It's all good. And I just want you to get clear. Okay? And I just want you to get clear on which one of these business balances are the ones that are going to create the biggest movement for you, are going to create that needle mover for you, okay? So I'll come back to these. I can put these back on the screens, but I just want you to get clear on the first one or two that, that you feel you could work on and that there's a boundary around that's holding you back. You know, it could be for environment, for example. You might be in the most horriblest place, like the actual location, but you know, and you're allowing that to affect you. When really we could take control of that environment and we could make your room absolutely feel so productive. So, you looking at those? Good. So, if we set a goal, okay? If we set a goal, so if it was finances, okay, that's what you chose. What is it you want to achieve in that arena, right? If you're earning 50 grand, you might want 150 grand. If you're earning 150 grand, it could be 400 grand. If you're earning 20 grand, you might be 50 grand, whatever it is, right? So, or it could be environment, it could be whatever, right? But set that goal, just write that down for me. And as you're writing that down, I just want you to now write that percentage. How close are you to meeting those needs and goals? Out of 0 to 100, how close are you to meeting those goals? Be honest, right? It's not supposed to be an attack on yourself. What it's supposed to be is becoming consciously aware of what's automatic playing because we're moving over the gap and creating a new set point. Make sense? Beautiful. So be honest. What's holding you back? What's holding you back? Be very, very honest. What's holding you back in that area? And then you can move to the next question. What pattern is not acceptable anymore? What are you doing to sabotage it? Maybe it's every time that you come up to a big opportunity, right? The door's open, but you sabotage it. What is it that's not acceptable anymore? And what's holding you back? Just spend a minute on those, and I'll keep flicking between the screens just so you get an idea. And you can always move to number 5. Now that you're aware, what's your new decision? Where are you going to direct that energy instead? On that specific threshold. Okay? So, what's the business balance or area of your life? What's the goal? Out of 100%, how close you are meeting it? What's holding you back and what's not acceptable anymore. And then what are you going to do different around that area? How are you basically going to achieve that goal? Step 2. If it's a finance one, then put options down of multiple income streams. If it's stopping a pattern, what pattern are you going to replace it with? If it's a belief, if it's a limiting belief, if it's an attitude, if it's a person you've got to bring in or remove from your life, what is it? Because remember, this is all you just opening up and unlocking. So just spend a minute on that. And just really, I'll keep flicking between the screens. And number 5, and we're just wrapping that up. So hopefully you start to see now, right, that decisions make everything. Moving over that gap, that decision, the thing that we changed last week, setting a new set point, making that decision, understanding that you are going to get triggered. Which way are we going to build that muscle? Right? Are we going to be a consumer and give our currency away, our time, effort, and energy? Are we going to fill ourselves full of value, self-worth, and build ourselves into the top 1% performer? Right? Or are we going to keep getting snapped back to the old us? We know now, if we're honest, which environment or business balance is the one that we've got to really work on. We also know now what we want, what's holding us back, and what is not acceptable anymore, and where we're directing our energy. So I hope that just became a little clear. The reason I say that is it becomes very important, because the next section is what I call energy circles of control.
Okay, crew. There we go. The end of episode 421. I know it was getting juicy. I know we were getting into the awesome stuff, but I can't give you everything. Do you know what I mean? I can't give you everything on this podcast. I give you a lot of value. And I know it's the guest I've got coming up, a lot of value. They keep asking me, Andy, where's our interviews? I get it. I just need to be in one place for a while. And I'm going to be there starting, Friday. It's Wednesday today. So I'll be there starting Friday so I can get onto all of that. And I really hope you took a lot of information from that episode. You probably want to listen to it once or twice again. I leave the pauses in. I leave all of those things in, so I want you to think. So it's really like a training system. I know that I should be charging for this, but I just want to help, because I know, again, like I said before, if I help you now and give you so much value, what it means is you're going to then help yourself. And when it's time, like it probably is right now, to come and connect with me and see if you can do a 1 day, a 2 day, or whatever system we work out that's customizable for you, then let's do it. Right? I don't have many places a month. I take on 1 or 2 of these a month. The prices are way cheaper than you think on some of the programs, and way more expensive than you think if you're working with me for a long time. But either way, I'm obsessed with your results, and we're going to get those results together, and we're going to get them faster than you ever believed was possible before. Sound good? Beautiful. So if you are used to performing at a high level and that hyper bubble is just popped, and you just are struggling to get that fire again, that mojo, that belief again, and you know the pressure's on, then let me fix that for you. What else have you got? If you are about to step into a whole new area of growth and you need to handle that stress, your nervous system needs to be conditioned, your brain needs to be on point, and you need someone to talk to make sure that you get this right, then let me sort that for you. If you're at the other stage of this, if you're exiting a company or you are transitioning to a new role and you need to handle that pressure, that weight, and you need to do it now, then let me fix that for you. Those 3 things you can go and apply, and let's just have a chat. Where? andymurphy.online. Work with me. Fill the application form in. Nice and simple. Let's have a chat. I've got programs for everybody. Sound good? Beautiful, beautiful. Well, keep kicking ass. Write me a review. And what else? Well, much love, and I'll see you next week. And until then, oh yeah, one more thing. I think I've said this 421 times right now. But one more thing. Why don't you smile for me?
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode of the Mindset by Design podcast with your host and NLP expert, Andy Murphy. We'll catch you next time.